Hello everyone, today I have a robot talking. This is gonna be a Reddit story made by Fanico_Agarai. Full credits for him or her. Video is gonna start now. Entitled Mom calls my mother, her doctor, lazy while she was examining her. Hello friends and greetings from Greece. I would like to say I was a long time lurker here as others do, but that's not true at all. I only recently found out about the sub from the videos of Arslash and the Redditor, both of whom I really enjoy and appreciate. So the other day I was browsing this sub, looking at people's stories about EPS and wishing I never come across such people. At that moment it hit me, though my mother had, and in more than one occasion. See, my mother is an endocrinologist that runs her own private practice here in our hometown. It's not as big as others in terms of size, but she still does modest work. She has had that for almost 8 years now, which in time increased her popularity among the citizens. Now it has reached the point where half my professors ask me to make them appointments, which is quite rude and honestly dumb. So as you can tell, there are some major downsides to this. The biggest one by far, however, are the patients. I have to admit, most of my mom's patients are totally fine. Some even give her gifts on holidays, and even once on my birthday. I swear that lady's pastry skills were beyond my imagination. There are some, however, that are the most entitled, inconsiderate and Karenish people I have ever heard of. I know about this either through personal experience, or through my mother's stories. An example of such person is someone that literally called her on Christmas morning, while we were cooking for the family dinner, and demanded to know why the examinations he had dropped of while my mother was in holidays weren't examined. Another example is a Karen that called on Easter to complain about her exam results worsening, after not taking the pills she was prescribed at all. That Karen called on multiple other occasions to do this, and after a point my mother just sent her to another doctor. She then proceeded to leave a 2-star review on my mother's newly created website just to drop her overall score, something which gave my mother anxiety for weeks. Note that this woman had made 2 reviews online, one for my mother and another 5-star one for a Domino's. By far, however, the worst example of the type of bad patients my mother has is the one that follows. A while ago my mother was just doing her job like any other day. She was attending to her appointments and doing the stuff she usually does, which are hectic by themselves, while also having to clean every piece of furniture and equipment she has after each appointment due to the coronavirus. So overall it was a pretty hectic day. After a while our Karen walks into the office sitting without saying anything into the waiting room. My mother's front office assistant, who is a total Chad by the way, just looked over to her and continued his job, as he was pretty used to it. So time passes by and my mom's previous patient proceeds to leave. After some more time the now impatient Karen says in a rude tone, "So is the doctor finally ready to accept me?" My mother's assistant then explains to her that my mom was cleaning and needed some time before examining anyone else. The woman seemed annoyed but understanding. Boy, was that not the case. As soon as my mother accepts her, the Karen just storms into the office, sitting in the chairs in front of her desk despite having to do an ultrasound examination which was conducted in the other side of the room. She then starts complaining about how inconvenient the delay was and blah blah. It is worth mentioning that she was my mother's second to last appointment, and it was also after 1500 hours at the time. That means that she was exhausted already for working from 7 a.m., which only worsened her already short temper and never be mean. But another fact contributing to this is that she didn't have breakfast or lunch, as she always waits until she comes home later in the afternoon to eat dinner with us. That is the reason she weighs 50 kilos at age 48, which I'm pretty sure she knows is unhealthy. At that point my mother was really struggling to contain her anger about the grinning. Then the Karen proceeded to do the unthinkable, however. She flat out said, to my mother's face that, and I quote, "You people get to sit on your lazy asses all day, your whole lives, while people like me have to do all the hard work. Do you know that I woke up at 6:45 a.m. to get ready for work in time?" My mother was just dumbstruck at this. Not only had she woken up at 5:30 a.m. this morning to finish up some examinations and do other preparations, but the fact that this Karen assumed she had been lazy her whole life is just beyond me. I mean, for crying out loud, lady, don't you know anyone who studies MED has to work their ass off for 6 or more years just to get their degree? Let alone work for quite a while in a hospital, so as to gain some much needed practical experience. That was the straw that completely derailed my mother. Now, hear me out. She may be small in size, but when she is angry, you better ran the heck away from her. Fortunately for that woman, my mom was too tired and just yelled "get out" immediately at her. At first the Karen was confused, but after the second time my mom said it, she quickly run off. Moreover, my mother's assistant told me that on her way out she just looked at him and said, "Well, aren't you gonna do something?" To which he replied with, "Do something about my boss being angry at you? Nah, I prefer to stay out of her way before she starts kicking your ass." After that the lady just run off scared. Neither my mom nor her assistant heard from her since. I don't really know if that belongs here, but I hope everyone appreciated it nonetheless.